Hello, I'm Quentin, and at the end of February 2025, I set off in my campervan on a trip with no fixed plan, but it ended up being mostly an exploration of northeast England and southwest Scotland. In fact, quite a few of the Scottish bits are actually south of many of the English bits. Anyway, do come along with me and my spaniel, and let's see where we ended up. Well, we had quite a dramatic night of it. It was, we were all warm and snug inside, but the rain was beating down and lashing against the windows and so on. It's quite nice in a way being in a camper van where you have a good heating system if the weather outside is like that. And of course, that's until Tilly wakes up early and wants to go out for a pee at 6 o'clock in the morning. But fortunately, you can hear every raindrop hitting your skylight, and so you know when you're not likely to get rained on. This morning, well, they said it will be sunny today. There have been little patches of sun, but at the moment it's decidedly windy and a bit overcast. I think the sun will come through. We're heading back in to the village to hopefully see the beach with the tide out. But Tilly is being decidedly reluctant here. I don't know that she slept too well, poor thing. And she is an old girl, so I shouldn't over-exercise her. But because of the rain, this path is a little bit of a quagmire in places. Come on, girl, come on. And so we're trying to find the high ground to take us away from the muddiest and wettest patches. So there's a place in town that I'm hoping we might get a sort of early lunch or late brunch, and that will be a pleasant shielding from whatever the weather may throw at us. But let's be optimistic. Maybe it's going to be lovely. We shall see. So this is where I thought we might try for lunch a bit later if they'll have us. But first, we're going to take a look at the sea, where things look very different from how they looked when we visited yesterday. Because now we are pretty much at low tide. There's always somebody standing on the slipway to give you a sense of scale. Tilly, there's some happy spaniels. Should we go and join them? Will you be a happy spaniel? So this is what the beach looks like at low tide. There's quite a lot of it really, but it's very gently shelving, so I imagine the water rushes up it fairly fast as the tide turns. It's too bad that Robin Hood's Bay has this rather inelegant, very unattractive sea protection here, but I guess it's got to be something like tough cement, so it's hard to make it pretty, but the view's pretty around the other side. Oh, Tills, you feeling a bit better now? Over there. There's a nice story I was reading this morning about a brig that foundered here somewhere on this shore in, I want to say, the mid to late 18th century. And the men of Whitby arranged for the Whitby lifeboat, because Whitby had a lifeboat and Robin Hood's Bay didn't, for the lifeboat to be towed over the hills here, 6 miles, by a team of 18 horses, I think they said. It was snowing, it was January, so they were towing it in the snow, and they managed to bring it down here somewhere and get out in this horrible storm in midwinter and rescue all of the people on the brig. Splendid story. Tilly's being a little more energetic now, basically because she thinks we're going home. Maybe she'll work out that there's fresh water over there But I hope she doesn't try and go in the deepest bit.
Well, fortunately Tilly didn't get too wet, and we retreated to that little restaurant we'd seen earlier for some food. And the verdict afterwards?
Well, I can recommend Bramble's Bistro for a very fine breakfast. Well, we're now walking back up the hill, but in glorious sunshine. And this time we're going up to the upper bay. So we want to try and get some provisions in a shop up here. Well, here we can look down over the bay. The town itself, Robin Hood's Bay, or village, is apparently just known as Bay or Baytown by local people. And someone down there is paddleboarding. Well, the sun has come out, but I hope they got a thick wetsuit on. They're braver than me, but it is a lovely place to be at the moment. Well, we're walking back to the van along a thing called the Cinder Track, which I think is the old railway line here. So, of course, it's very nice and level after all our climbing up and down. Of course, at this time of year, level does often also mean muddy. This track is now part of the National Cycle Network and would be a very nice place to cycle at other times of the year, I should think. Someone had their paws all nice and clean. Now we may have to hose you off when we get back to the van, Tilly. Well, we got some supplies, walked back to the van, and the sun came out, and somebody is enjoying lying in the sunshine for the first time in quite a long while. Well, it is an absolutely beautiful morning this morning. I'm being dazzled by the sunshine, and there's the sound of pigeons and seagulls and things around us. It was cold last night. Fortunately, the van has this lovely heating system, but we had the insulation on. I folded it down now to let some of the sunlight in, but yeah, there's still frost down here. So we'll have some breakfast, give that a chance to thaw, do some tidying up and clearing up, and then we'll be on our way to our next location. But do look at these lovely hills over here. Campsites filled up a bit as the weather got better. Well, it's a beautiful morning. The best morning, best weather so far this trip, best weather so far this year, probably. And I'm just filling up here with a bit of water. We're basically full anyway, but I wanted to make sure, since we're not quite sure when our next stop will provide us with any water, or indeed where our next stop will be, I thought it was worth making sure we were fully topped up before we started. You may be able to hear the van making a beeping noise above me. You can turn on a little alarm thing which tells you when your water is full. Or actually it starts a very slow beep when it's quarter full, gets a bit faster at half full. This is the 3/4 full beep, and when it gets to kind of solid, then I know I need to turn the tap off because we're 100% full. Hello. So we're just about to head off in this direction. I think our next stop is going to be Whitby, probably. Never been to Whitby before, but I hear they have very good fish and chips.
Well, there is our last look at Robin Hood's Bay. And there is a well-populated graveyard. Well, down below us there is the town of Whitby. And over there we can see Whitby Abbey, which I'd heard of, but I never knew it was quite so enormous. This is going to be good. That's where we're heading. Well, here we are at Whitby Abbey, and it's hard to imagine nicer weather. I'm also glad we're here on a Friday, because I'm guessing this might get a little busy at the weekend, especially if the weather stays like this. We then took one of the long flights of steps below the cathedral that lead down into Whitby town itself. Well, before we explore much more of Whitby, we need some sustenance, so I'm waiting for fish and chips, and I have a good Yorkshire beer to keep me going until that arrives. Very nice, needed that. So Whitby is famous for many things. For the Abbey, which is up, well, we can't see it from here, it's up behind that church up there. For being the setting for significant parts of Dracula. So at certain times of the year you get a lot of people in gothic outfits around here, goth outfits I should say. And for fish and chips. So I thought I should have fish and chips here. I have to say, even though Hetty and Betty was a nice place, it's been going apparently since 1928, I sort of feel it possibly hasn't improved since 1928, though the people were very nice and very dog friendly, so they get credit for that. But I suppose it's my own fault for avoiding the fish and chip shop that had enormously long queues outside and for going to the one that had several empty tables. I should probably have taken a hint from that. However, I am now suitably nourished with fish and chips and Yorkshire beer, and let's go and explore a little bit more of Whitby before we head on our way. Oh dear, what a pity. What do you think? You think it's a pity too? Yes, I agree. Well, I expect that the Benedictine monks up there would look down with some distress at the town below them now, but there are bits of it that are very nice. We're out on the harbour wall here, and you can probably hear the crashing of the waves. This is the beach, though of course we are here at high tide again, so there's not much in the way of beach. So this plaque is to commemorate the men who built the Whitby ships Endeavour, Resolution, Adventure and Discovery used by Captain James Cook, and also the men who sailed with him on the greatest voyages of exploration of all time. And here we have a rather fine statue of Captain James Cook, and he's standing appropriately atop a compass rose. That way is north, so I can tell that it's a little way into the afternoon. And over there, winding up to the Abbey, are the famous 199 steps, which will form our journey home. We might stop at the Whitby Brewery up there on our way as well. Now here's the thing, I just turned off to look in this little pathway here. There's some building work, cleaning work going on over the road, which is what the noise is from. But I noticed here a plaque which says, Henry Freeman Whitby, coxswain, lived in Bakehouse Yard in January 1881. He was responsible for one of the most famous RNLI rescues when the Whitby lifeboat Robert Whitworth was pulled 6 miles overland to Robin Hood's Bay in blizzard conditions to save those in the wrecked brig Visitor. He was awarded his first silver medal for gallantry whilst helping save lives on his first day's service in the lifeboat in 1861, a unique achievement. Dogs everywhere here. This bit is busy because it's at the bottom of one of Whitby's most famous attractions, which is this flight of stairs that goes back up to the Abbey. 199 steps. Let's see whether our elderly hound can cope with them. She might need a lift some other way, I think. Well, we are climbing up out of Whitby, but we're going to go and cross the big bridge in a minute and then head northwards to Staithes. See if we can find somewhere to stay overnight there. And if we can't, we'll go a little bit further north to another spot I know. I tell you what, you use lower gears in this part of the world more often than you do around Cambridge. And so we cross the River Esk. It's actually one of the best views of Whitby out that way, but can't really stop to take a picture.
Turn right to stay on A174.
We are very close to the sea. Sign back there said there was danger from high seas breaking over the sea wall here. And I can imagine that. This way. So we're in a car park, and I think there's some loos over there. I can find out what their timing is. The village of Staithes is down beneath us somewhere, so we'll go and have a look at that, either tonight or tomorrow. But we are allowed to park here overnight. So if we arrived a bit later,
We could get the 12-hour one, but I don't think we're going to leave that early, so let's make it 24 hours. That's 15 quid, but you do have to pay online. But other than that, it's rather nice. Look, there we are.
Well, we've come into downtown Staithes at night. There are no visitors' cars down here normally, only residents or people who are staying. But I just thought I'd come and have a look at it. Tilly seems to be doing okay, despite her long walks of the day. And we thought we might try and find somewhere where we could get half a pint of something and go back to the van. Almost everything is closed, of course, at this time of night, but there's also almost nobody around, which is quite nice because I imagine tomorrow, if it is as sunny as today was, maybe rather busy here, being a Saturday. Now here we are down by the waterside. This is the rather pleasing cod and lobster slipway. That's because this is the cod and lobster. Well, what you can't tell from the outside is that that pub is completely full inside. It's jam-packed. I think it's the only one around, really. The only one down by the water anyway. Looks very nice, but you definitely need to reserve a table if you actually want to sit down. At the moment anyway. I suppose it's a Friday night. Now the camera is not quite sure whether to concentrate on Tilly or me, and Tilly is not sitting still because she doesn't realise that the reason I'm hanging on to her is to keep her warm, because she's not very smart really. There you go. The camera's tracking our faces, but it will apparently track Tilly's face if it recognises her more than it recognises me. There you go. Anyway, we're not staying here long because it's really quite cold, though actually shared bodily warmth. Tilly, it works quite well, you know, if you sit still. Maybe she's keeping warm by doing the exercise. There you go. But I have a half. A half was about all I thought I could sit outside for. And then we'll walk back up the hill and no doubt we'll be nice and warm when we get to the top. However, it is very nice here, despite the February temperatures. And the beer's good. And now the camera's completely confused. Well, from where we're sitting, even this camera can't really pick out very much in the dark, except the red and green lights showing the entrance to the harbour. Very pleasing. Looks as if we might be able to go up this way. This is quite fun. Don't have to worry about any headlights blinding you up here. Well, this path I've taken has taken me way up, taken us way up above the rooftops here of the street we walked down. So hopefully it's going to kind of level off ahead and we'll have a nice easy walk back the last bit to the car park.